We do want to get to the latest on the Michael Jackson case at this point. A verdict could come down as early as today in the manslaughter case as the jury now begins its second day of deliberations. That happens later this morning.
As Bill Whitaker reports, the key issue is who delivered the fatal overdose.
Nobody's disputing that he wanted the propofol, but he also wanted a doctor there.
That Dr. Conrad Murray left Michael Jackson alone in his bedroom while the singer was under the influence of the powerful anesthetic propofol is not in dispute. But jurors must decide if that action led to the death of the pop star.
Conrad Murray caused the death of Michael Jackson. Conrad Murray gave him propofol and abandoned him.
The defense contends Jackson injected himself with the fatal dose of the drug.
So was Dr. Murray supposed to watch Michael Jackson to save him from himself at all times? Was he never to leave?
49 witnesses appeared before the 7 men and 5 women of the jury. During testimony, they heard detailed explanations about medical protocols, IV drips, even how propofol is metabolized in the body.
This is an unusually well-educated jury. They serve in managerial roles, leadership positions. Many of them have postgraduate degrees. So I expect this jury will take its time going through the mountains of evidence.
With over 300 pieces of evidence, jurors have much to review. On Friday, they concluded their first full day of deliberations without asking one question.
I think they'll be able to reach that decision in relative short order. So I don't expect this to extend much beyond 2 or 3 days of deliberating.
And as the jury deliberates, the crowd of Jackson supporters outside the courthouse has been growing larger and more vocal. Bill Whitaker, CBS News, Los Angeles.
Joining us this morning from LA is Jean Casarez, who is covering the Jackson trial for True TV's In Session. Jean, always good to have you with us. Give us an idea, in this first day of deliberation, was there anything that happened or did not happen that gave us some sort of a clue as to how long it could take before we see a verdict?
Maybe it's the fact that there wasn't a verdict. You know, Erica, a lot of people thought there was going to be a verdict on Friday. It's been a long trial, 25 days of testimony, and jurors wrote notes. They obviously know this case. There's only one count, and what always happens is that when they get in the jury room, they select a foreperson, and then they take a straw vote. So common sense would tell you that if all the jurors have their reasons or on the same side, that there could have been a conviction on Friday, a verdict, but there was not. So what does that mean? One of two things. It means that there are people on both sides of the spectrum, so they're now having to really look at things, or it's a jury that wants to go through the evidence, that wants to take it step by step. Do you know, Erica, there's a biochemist on the jury, somebody that has a degree in biochemistry. That's huge for the science aspect of this.
It is really important, really interesting, as we saw was just pointed out in the piece. This is a very educated jury, but you point out, you know, we may not have heard anything because they're going through the evidence. Isn't that what a jury should be doing, not rushing a verdict?
Definitely. It should go through the evidence. We've seen times when they do not, though. The Casey Anthony case, the verdict came the second day, and it did not require a lot of deliberation on their part. There could be a verdict today. You know, there's been the weekend, which is interesting. So jurors can think about everything they went through on Friday. There was 7 hours and 40 minutes of deliberation on Friday. That's a long time. That's like an 8-hour workday. So they've thought about it. It could come today. It could come later in the week. And don't forget, it could be a hung jury. That's not out of the question here. Because if there are some people that just don't want to change their opinion, you don't know how it's going to end up.
Sure. You mentioned the fact they had the weekend to think about it. This is also a jury that's not being sequestered.
That's right. So they're at home. Now the judge admonishes them to not talk with their families about it, but they think about it. We know that. And what if family members just say things, you know, oh, he did it, he's guilty, or Michael Jackson is the one that controlled this whole thing? Will they just take that into their minds? But they cannot do research. They cannot read about it, and they cannot watch television on it.
So they're not supposed to. Although they do seem to be taking things pretty seriously, so you would hope that they were taking that instruction seriously as well. You have been there throughout this trial. As you've sat there, you've listened to the evidence, you've listened to the witnesses. Anything that really stuck out rather on either side for you?
You know, I think the thing that I think about at this point is if there is that intervening, unforeseeable act, then you can't find Conrad Murray guilty beyond a reasonable doubt of causing the death. So that would be Michael Jackson, injecting himself, taking the lorazepam. But He's a medical doctor, and if there are pills all over the bedroom and there's a syringe within his reach, and Conrad Murray said in his own statement, Michael Jackson always wanted to reach for the syringe himself. Does that mean that it was foreseeable that Dr. Conrad Murray saw it? On the other side, there's jury nullification. Many doctors were in Michael Jackson's life, and the jury could say, this isn't fair for the one doctor that happened to be there in the bedroom when this happened. We don't want to convict him. Some jurors could feel that way.
Jean Casarez, always good to have you with us. Jean, thanks.
Thanks, Erica.